Hi, my name is Melanie Phelan, and I'm a training specialist with the Illinois Center for Transition and Work at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. Today, we are talking about the yeah, but mindsets that transition professionals may face as they journey through finding employment for their students with disabilities. You may be wondering or asking, what is the yeah, but mindset? I'm sure you have experienced someone having a negative response when you talk about finding employment for your students. If you're shaking your head yes, then you're in the right place. Let's get started. In today's webinar, addressing common yeah but barriers to employment for students with disabilities, we will recognize and articulate common yeah but barriers that hinder effective transition planning. We will also establish strategies to effectively collaborate with key stakeholders to build comprehensive student-centered transition plans while also addressing the barriers and leveraging community resources. Finally, we will develop individualized plans to address and prioritize your yeah but challenges. Let's begin with our explanation of the yeah but syndrome. What is the yeah but syndrome? The yeah but syndrome is when we make predetermined judgments about someone before you even get to know their capabilities. It's the idea of looking at someone with your eyes, but seeing them with your mind. Sometimes this is because you're only thinking about all the things that can go wrong with finding this student a job instead of what can go right. We know employment is important, but we tend to find reasons why a student can't work, especially if that student has had difficulties in the past. With a yeah, but mindset, you tend to ask, can this student work? Instead of how can we help this student work? This mindset can impact how we see and work with our students. It can lead to low expectations, doubts about their capabilities and performance on the job, and limiting their exposure to certain skills and experiences because you don't think they can be successful. Here are some common yeah, but situations I am sure you have heard of one time or another from maybe admin or other staff, or maybe even parents who I believe have good intentions for our students to find paid employment, but sometimes they have trouble seeing past all of the obstacles that may stand in their way. Yeah, but their parents won't let them work. Well, it's important for us to find out why their parents don't want them to work. Ask those probing questions to find out more information. Yeah, but the student has unrealistic employment goals. Well, what makes them unrealistic, and how can we help them figure out real employment goals that are more attainable? Yeah, but we don't have transportation to get students to work sites. How can you leverage other community resources to help with transportation? What else is out there that students can access to get to work? Yeah, but the student isn't ready to work. How can you help them be ready? What are some skills that you might need to teach them that they need to learn? What are some other interests that they might have that will help them get ready? Yeah, but we don't have jobs in our small town. Well, look at what jobs you do have, or maybe network businesses that are in neighboring communities that might work out. Yeah, but the student has behavior issues. Let's find out let's find out jobs where these behaviors won't impact the students. Yeah, but the student has poor hygiene. What jobs are out there that maybe hygiene doesn't matter? Are there any jobs where isn't an issue? Yeah, but our school doesn't have a STEP contract to fund community-based work experiences. Well, while having a STEP contract is nice, it's not always guaranteed. So we have to find other funding opportunities and other funding areas that will help support our programs. Yeah, but the student's disability is too severe to have a job. Every student deserves a chance to work, whether it's a job training site, whether it's volunteer. Every student deserves to find something that they can be successful at. So we address some common yeah, but situations you may hear or experience as they relate to specific student or school challenges. But what about the yeah, but barriers educators face within their daily job responsibilities that may be common, but a bit more difficult to find solutions for? In this next section, we will address those common barriers educators might come across and give some practical solutions to keep you on track. One of my favorite quotes, really, uh, this one really relates to the information that we're talking about um, with these common yeah, but situations and mindsets. And this is: a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, but an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. So, as professionals and for the sake of our students, let's find all of those opportunities that are available to our students to help them be successful in the community with employment. So, how do we address common barriers? As transition professionals, we're going to face many barriers that are going to impact employment for our students. As a transition professional myself, I was a transition specialist in my previous school district. I face many barriers with my students, from um, businesses not wanting to hire students with disabilities because they're a liability, to businesses just not even really wanting to give our students a chance, um, to our students getting hired, to then getting fired. So a lot of barriers. So I've experienced a lot of barriers. So I understand what you are going through as a transition professional. Um, but the one thing is, how you're addressing these barriers can either build your progress and keep it going or break it. And so I think it's important that you face these barriers or these obstacles head on, and figure out some solutions that are going to work for you in your situation, to make sure that they don't break your progress. So the first barrier is, yeah, but promoting employment is a complex job. There is a lot to cover as a transition professional. I know, I did it by myself at one point. So there is a lot. From overseeing work-based learning in and out of the community, to creating opportunities for students to learn vocational skills. You are doing a lot as a transition professional, and sometimes that's hard for one person to do alone, and keep that momentum going. So what can you do? One thing you can do is, if you're doing this by yourself, is to find a real collaborator. Find somebody that is as passionate about this work as you are. Um, doesn't necessarily have to be somebody in the school. It could be somebody in the community that you have a relationship with. But finding somebody else that you can work with, it will be helpful. Combine your experiences and ideas. So use them to bounce ideas off of. Maybe have times where you guys can meet, and talk through some things. It's just nice to have somebody else that is doing the same things or thinking about the same things as you are, and being able to talk about ideas and experiences with them. Sharing the workload. So it's nice to have somebody that you can share some of the responsibilities with, that can help you out with things that they are able to do. Makes it a little easier so that you're not doing it by yourself. And then it's also nice to have someone to hold you accountable. So to check in with you, make sure that you're getting through things, and that uh, you're completing the activities or the tasks that you need to. Another barrier is, and I'm sure we've all heard this, is, yeah, but my students aren't motivated to work. So I've had a lot of students in the past that just aren't motivated. They don't care to work, either because they just don't want to put in that extra work. People along the way have, not given low expectations for them. They haven't challenged them. Maybe their parents have said that they don't want them to work. So a lot of our students may not feel the need to work. And so they are functioning on cruise control. They are just meeting the status quo to get through the program, to get through the instruction. And, they don't want to work. They don't want to participate. So they're not going to do any more work than you're asking of them. So what can you do with an unmotivated student? Well, helping students identify their learning style is huge. So how do students learn? Do they learn are they a hands-on learner? Are they a visual learner? Are they auditory? Are they combined? So how do they learn, and what is their learning style? And then once you can determine this, or once they determine this, then you want to match the jobs to their learning style. So what kind of jobs are going to match a student's learning style? So if the student is a visual learner, maybe doing a lot of arts and crafts jobs or tasks might help them. If they're more hands-on, maybe working at a warehouse or some type of trade, to get them to use their hands more. So it's really important that we're able to match jobs to those students' learning style. And always set high expectations. So if we want to keep students motivated, we want to make sure that we're always challenging them and pushing them, and setting those expectations high. And relate their learning that they're doing in the classroom to job success. So, if we're talking about time management, relate that back to how this will help them be successful on the job. And it will make a big difference if you can relate the things that they're learning to how successful they're going to be on a job. Another common barrier is my uh, yeah, but my students aren't confident in their own skills and abilities. So some students don't always know they have the capacity to learn. Um, they don't always believe that they can achieve the goals that they set out. And some of them are barriers to themselves. They are not always confident that they can perform tasks that they're asked to perform, or that they actually see their own abilities to be successful performing these tasks. So, what can you do to build students' confidence? One way to build it is to operate from a strengths-based perspective. So what are your students' strengths and interests? What do they like to do? What are they good at? Really focus on those things, to get them to see that they do have the capacity to learn as well as perform job tasks. Model your own thinking while doing tasks. I think it's important that we show students we make mistakes too. So while you're doing some of these tasks, I know when I was modeling certain tasks to students, if I made a mistake, I would talk through it. So I would say out loud, "Oh, I didn't do that right. Let me go back and let me fix it." So I would model my mistake, and I will model how I fixed it so that they could see we're all going to make mistakes, even as professionals, and you can work through them. And it's not a big deal at the end of the day as long as you fix it. And then break down steps into smaller tasks. So show them how an overwhelming task can be broken down into smaller steps so they have more success at completing it. And always celebrate the small wins. So any win, whether it's just a student being able to follow a one-step direction, one-step task, any kind of small win is worth celebrating. Another common but barrier is it's really hard to keep up momentum when constantly faced with obstacles. I feel like in this line of work as a transition professional, you are always going to have obstacles. Our communities aren't equipped yet to understand students with disabilities and how to work with them. So it's important that we don't let these obstacles stand in our way from continuing our work. So while at times employment with our students ebb and flow, um, we can't let the ups and downs, or at least the downs, affect our work in continuing finding employment for our students. And while other organizations put up obstacles that they don't understand our students, this shouldn't be a reason why we stop pushing and continuing what we're trying to achieve. So, what can you do? Keep your eye on the prize. And by keeping your eye on the prize, you need to set at least 1 to 2 powerful goals that you want to achieve. So, if you're looking to find paid employment for 3 students by the end of the school year, set that goal and don't let anything stand in your way to achieve that goal. Get organized with your team. So make sure that everyone that's working with you to achieve this goal is on the same page and is working towards that goal together. And always celebrate the successes for so whatever you guys can achieve along the way, make sure you celebrate it and keep that momentum going, because the more you stay positive, the more you're going to want to keep going to achieve those goals that you set up. um, Another common barrier is, yeah, but others don't understand the importance of school to work programs. As I said in the previous slide, our communities are still they still are not equipped to support our students yet. But as transition professionals, it is part of our job to get out there and educate some of our communities and our businesses to be more open-minded. So some of the barriers that we see are businesses are closed-minded. They're not willing to give our students a chance. They don't think our students can do the work, so they have low expectations. And they fail to recognize our students' potential. So they're not seeing our students' abilities. They have those yeah but mindsets. They have that negative biases where they don't think our students can complete the tasks or do the tasks that are set in front of them. So what can you do to break this barrier? Take action. Be a voice. Be persistent. Show that your students can do the job, can do this work, and that giving them high expectations is what they need. Provide opportunities in a variety of settings. So, in my previous program, I went out into the community and I went to those businesses that weren't really sure about hiring my students, and I set up job tours there where my classrooms, or where the students could come and see the business, see the job, and the business owner or manager could see my students in that environment to see that they could possibly be capable of doing that job. So make sure you're providing those opportunities for people in the community to understand our school to work programs. Reframe, reassess, and reevaluate. So it's important that we're reframing the mindset. We're reassessing how we think or how the community should think of our students, and we're reevaluating. So we need to make sure that we're always coming back to the positive, and that we're trying to teach people to see our students' true abilities and true potential. And keep an open mind. So if you keep an open mind as a transition professional, hopefully that will create others in the community to also keep an open mind. Teach them what you know, and hopefully somewhere along the way, you'll have more community members come out and want to want to place more students in their business that have disabilities. So the last barrier that we can experience is, yeah, but there are so many systemic barriers that are getting in the way. So I know I've experienced this, and I know most of us experience funding issues. For employment, activities are limited. So many programs don't have the money to be able to support students going out into the community or having some type of job training site. Parents can be against employment. Some of our parents aren't on board with students getting paid employment or even having job training. Businesses also don't have that inclusive mindset. So they're just not ready and they're just not thinking about how students with disabilities can benefit their business. And we are also seeing many undocumented students that are unable to get jobs because of their citizenship. So, what do you do? Find other funding avenues. So, while I know this is easier said than done, um, you might have to do a little work in finding these different funding resources to get your program the money that they need to uh, have activities for employment in the community. Ask parents questions. Find out what is holding them back from wanting their student to work. Sometimes those probing questions are going to help you find out a lot of information and can help understand where parents are coming from. Educate businesses about people with disabilities. So most businesses don't understand the impact a person with a disability can have on their business, on the customers that come to their store or are in the community. So I think it's important that we're able to educate businesses on the power that people with disabilities can have if they work in their store or in their business, and just making sure they understand that it's has such an impact. And how can we address undocumented students? One way is to connect students with community supports and also explore volunteer opportunities. So even if they aren't able to get paid employment, there are other opportunities for these students to learn job skills. Let's begin talking about why building collaborative networks and partnerships is important to overcoming the barriers that we just talked about on the previous slides. Building partnerships and collaborating with key stakeholders is so crucial to overcoming barriers and ensuring that there's employment success for your students. In my previous school district, the collaboration that I created with businesses and community partners was so important because we went from a program where we had to job develop for all of our job sites and all of the employment that we got for our students to, by the time I left, businesses and community partners were calling us looking for students that could work in their business. So this collaboration and these partnerships are so important because eventually you will just have this connection within the community, and it will be so much easier for students to find jobs and help them become as successful as possible once they leave your program. This is also another way to share resources and to kind of get an in places in your community where you don't really have much connection. It's also helpful to create an important pathway that aligns to student interests. Once they leave your program and they get out into the real world, it's that easy transition. So there are four big collaborators in transition planning, and they are all important because they all have specific jobs that are important to the success of students. So, as we know, schools are providing that instruction. They are that central hub for ensuring that transition planning is taking place and that we are following a student's plan and what they would like to do once they leave your program. Families are helping take that instruction and they are advocating and providing that support and practice at home um, in order for students to be able to reinforce the skills they're learning at school. Businesses are big for providing that work-based learning experience as well as being mentors and building that workplace readiness so students can have future success in the community. And then community stakeholders are there to provide ongoing support even after a student leaves the school system. So they are all very important in the transition planning process, as well as in helping students be successful with finding paid employment. So the first thing you want to do is learn about your community in order to build these partnerships. So what can you do? Community mapping is big. If you don't know your community, you don't live in the community you work in, I didn't. So I needed to do some community mapping. I needed to go out and find different places that, I wasn't familiar with, introduce myself. I also utilized the Google, which is called Google My Maps. And on Google My Maps, you can make your own map of the town that your school is in, or the town that your students live in, and map out specific places that are important to the students. So maybe where they want to get a job, where they have to go to the grocery store, where they have to go to get healthcare. So community mapping is really big and learning about the community, not just for you as a professional, but also for the students. Be a patron, support the businesses that you are trying to become partners with. Go there. If you want to get jobs at a coffee shop, go to the coffee shop, order, buy coffee, talk to the manager, be visible in the community. A lot of my students in my previous program, a lot of the classrooms would go out into the community and support those businesses that we were hoping to get employment in, but also just to support the businesses and be there and be seen. Research your community. So, what other inclusive initiatives or disability awareness practices are going on in your community? Find out what they are. In my previous program, we had our village did a disability awareness month, and they ended up making March 23rd uh, disability awareness day and did a proclamation for our program. So it was really cool. The students got to go to Village Hall and they were able to be a part of the town hall meeting that they had there. So find out what those inclusive initiatives are, or make them yourself and talk to somebody within your community to be able to develop these different initiatives or these different awareness practices. Which leads me to visit your area's municipal building. So, whatever kind of building you have that handles all your municipalities, maybe it's called a village, maybe it's called a township. But go there and maybe see if you can get a meeting with your mayor or get a meeting with somebody that handles some disability awareness practices or inclusive initiatives within your community, and sit down and meet with them and see how you can form a partnership where they can help you. The next step in creating collaboration and partnerships is to get to know the businesses in your community. How do you do that? Well, you need to understand the needs of the employer. So, what does the business need? What are they looking for? Go there and ask questions and find out. That's number one. And that's going to really set the stage for building that partnership because The next one is focus on business development and versus job placement. So going and asking questions to a business, what they need, how you can help with that business development piece versus the job placement part where you're just going and asking if they have any jobs for your students. So really focusing on that business development is going to be huge for creating that partnership that will hopefully somewhere along the line lead to job placement for your students. Be continuous, strategic, and mutually valuable. So what does this mean? This means um, building and developing those relationships, um, and making sure that they are long term, and not just for short term job placements. So, really going in there, checking in with businesses, even if they haven't hired your students in the past or didn't want to hire your students, continue to go in there, continue to build those relationships and talk to these businesses because I will tell you eventually that relationship will grow into something where they will trust you and reach out to you for help and support when they need it. Um, Being strategic and mutually valuable. So it's important that we are showing that we understand their business needs and that we are here to help them as the business as well as the consumer. So it's a two-way street kind of relationship. So we're here to help their business. And we're also there as a customer too. So it's important that they see us on both sides. Um, and really, business development is about focusing on not just the student and what they need, but also on the business and what they need. We're going to go through some methods to getting to know your businesses in your community on the next couple slides. So one way to get to know businesses is utilizing your network strategies. Go to businesses, hand out your business cards when you're out in the community. I would do that all the time. And I would just say, I'm Melanie Phelan, I'm a transition specialist, and, here's my business card. Would love to sit down with you and ask some questions about your business and about your needs. Please email me, please call me, let me know when we can set up that meeting. Or I would just hand out business cards and let them know I'm here if they're interested in setting up a meeting or if they're interested in talking to me. So utilizing your business cards, if you have them, is huge. And just being out in the community. Use your families and other personal contacts. That was huge in our previous program. I was able to network and build partnerships through a lot of families that knew people within our community. And then personal contacts for you or even staff that work in your building or district. Use past partners. We would use our past work-based learning sites as a reference for future work-based learning sites. So we had a couple partners that were very eager to tell other job sites and other future partners about our program and about how things would run and just how good we were as a program. So if they wanted to ask questions about it, they had these past partners that they could utilize. And become involved in some local organizations and Chamber of Commerce. So the Chamber of Commerce was huge for me. We had a parent that worked there and they were very helpful. And they were such an advocate for our program. She would reach out quite frequently when she had businesses that were looking for support with hiring somebody with a disability. She had put us in contact with many different businesses. So if you haven't developed a partnership with your Chamber of Commerce and you do have one in your community, I highly recommend reaching out and setting up a meeting with them to build that partnership because it is really big for your transition program. And then utilize other community business events. So this could be job fairs, just community fairs. utilize those community events where you can get your name out there, get your program's name out there, and be able to network a little bit with other businesses, with other community sites that you may not have partnered up with or talked to. Form a job developer network. So this is a network of people from area high schools, also from DRS and other local vocational agencies that form this group. And this group will focus on current targeted job seekers. So they talk, of course, with confidentiality. They talk about job seekers that are looking for jobs, and they just brainstorm targeted job ideas for those job seekers. And they're able to announce job leads and any other agency initiatives and activities. So if you're a lone wolf and you're doing this work on your own, this would be a great way to get more people to help you and to find other people that are as passionate about what you're doing as you are, and to be able to bounce ideas off of and get ideas from. So if you are doing this by yourself, as one of the barriers was previously, forming a job developer network could be something that may be useful not just to you, but other job developers or other transition coordinators in your area. And the last one is a business advisory council. So this is a little different than the job developer network. The business advisory council is inviting different leaders from the local business community. So this council or this group is just about inviting those local businesses. You could utilize your job developer network to invite them, set this up, and then have a business advisory council with your job developer network so that you guys can meet and talk about different disability related issues, or again, brainstorm job seekers and introduce potential employers for these job seekers. So this could be a really good way to, one, learn about businesses in your community, but to also get other people that are maybe in your job developer network to also have the ability to reach out to businesses and see potential employers for their students. The Business Advisory Council could also be another way where you could practice interviews with students and with the volunteers from the business community. So I never did that, but this is a really great idea to, if you're looking for a real feel of mock interviews, this would be a good avenue to go. So now that we've gone through some strategies to address YEBA challenges, we are going to move into talking about how you can prioritize or organize these actions based on their importance or urgency in your planning. So first, with action prioritizing, you need to brainstorm a list of barriers or but scenarios that you are encountering currently in your program that are hindering or impacting finding employment for your students. So that's the first thing that you'll need to do in your action prioritizing. Using the template that you see to the right, you will record your ideas based on their importance or urgency. And we are going to go through this template on the next slide. And this is just to organize the challenges so that you can stay committed to your work, allow yourself a chance to reframe negative mindsets, incorporate some reflection, as well as be able to collaborate with others in your program or your team to make employment that focus or that outcome for all your students. So this is really just an organizational tool to keep you on track to that outcome for employment for all your students. So, what is an action matrix or action prioritizing matrix? So, it's in 4 quadrants, and the first, and it's ranked by high to low impact as well as high to low effort. So, we're going to start with quick wins. Quick wins is high impact, low effort. So, it's going to require you to not give much effort into the process. It's going to have high importance and the benefit is going to be huge, but it can be completed pretty quickly. The next is big projects. This is high impact, high effort. So this is going to have high importance and have a great benefit to your program, but it is going to require you to put in considerable effort. It might require a lot of planning, time and effort to complete, and might require you to meet frequently with your team if you have a team that you are collaborating with to complete these projects. So this is definitely going to be more time consuming. Filler tasks. These are low impact, low effort. So these are going to be of low importance to your program or to your initiatives, and pretty much require very little effort. These are the tasks that you can delegate to other people to free up more time for more important projects. They might even be tasks that you don't really want to get to right now if you're unable to delegate them. And those are the ones that you're going to save for last. And thankless tasks. So these are tasks that are going to require, that are low impact, high effort. So they're going to require a lot of time and probably a lot of effort and have little benefit or impact on your program or your outcome. So these are also tasks that can be delegated, automated, or avoided completely if you're not able to get to them. So it's going to be really big. Those quick wins and those big projects are going to be the ones that you're going to want to fill your time with. Obviously the quick wins because they're going to be high impact and low effort, and so you're going to be able to complete them within a good timeline. But those filler tasks and those thankless tasks are ones that you're probably not going to get to if you don't have to. So really put your focus on those quick wins and big projects. So really understand what your important barriers in your Yeah But scenarios. Really figure out which ones you feel are going to be quick wins or big projects, and focus on those first. We have gone over a lot of great information in our Yeah But webinar. So let's review some key takeaways to help you put it all together. There are steps that we can take to address common Yeah But barriers that hinder effective transition planning. Consider a range of strategies to address barriers by collaborating with key stakeholders and leveraging community resources. Taking action is essential to changing mindsets. Ignoring what's impacting progress will not keep you moving forward. Develop a plan with your team to address and prioritize the Yeah But challenges that you encounter. Let's talk about the different resources we have and how to access them. To access the related resources to this webinar, go to the YouTube description of the video, scroll down, and you will see the links that will take you directly to the related resources. And the ICTW has many other resources. You can scan the QR code to access them on our website. Thank you.